Thanks so much for being with us here on Atlanta News First Plus. I'm Joy Limnacker, and just want to share with you some of the top stories that we are following right now. And this is starting off in Dekalb County, where there has been some sort of shooting that investigators are now looking into. It happened at a Citgo gas station. They're saying that shots were fired. You can see this video that we obtained from the scene. You know, a lot of activity at that scene. Really, the reason why this is so significant is that it's sparking a lot of conversation about a new ordinance, because it's happened just as a very important deadline is approaching for convenience stores. Now, this new ordinance is something that county commissioners passed back in December, and it would require that convenience stores and high-risk businesses in unincorporated Dekalb County, that they have until June 30th to install a high-definition surveillance system to deter crime. Obviously, that deadline is just a couple of weeks from now, so that's why the timing of this is so significant here. We did talk to the store clerk on duty. Our crew on the scene there did, and he said that he heard the gunfire while he was on duty. This particular gas station does have surveillance cameras, something that the store clerk does say hopes can deter some crime. Let's listen.
They sold up the whole area. They put the yellow tape around the whole area. We couldn't even go into the store. We got surveillance all around here. Like she got hidden cameras around there, so you know it's surveillance, and she got surveillance at Amazon Hub.
And we are working to learn from police exactly what happened there, but obviously a very active scene. In the meantime, certainly a grim reminder for a lot of Dekalb County businesses about that deadline, which is fast approaching, to install those surveillance cameras that, you know, many people argue is a deterrent for crime. Also want to let you know about a homicide investigation that is underway right now. This is in Gwinnett County. So police are trying to figure out what led up to this deadly shooting that happened last night in Dacula. Officers responded to a person shot call, a call about a person shot just after 10 o'clock last night. It was on Stanley Road. And when they got to the scene, they say that they found a man dead on the road. The police actually had Stanley Road blocked off at Pipeline Road as homicide investigators were working that scene, gathering evidence, looking for clues as to, you know, what happened, who may have done this. The road has since reopened, but of course the investigation is ongoing. Let's listen.
Very little is known about the incident or what took place, and detectives are trying to gather all information. Detectives are exploring all motives and all scenarios, and we don't know at this time.
Yeah, so as you heard her say, I mean, they don't know, and they really need the public's help. If anyone has information to share in this case, you're asked to please contact Gwinnett County Police Department detectives. You can remain anonymous if you want to contact Crime Stoppers. You know, there's a website. We have it linked up on our website, atlantanewsfirst.com, but you could go to www.stopcrimeatl.com. You know, and the number also is 404-577-TIPS. That's 404-577-TIPS. If you want to, you know, just give investigators a tip anonymously, because Crime Stopper tipsters can actually receive a cash reward for any information leading to an arrest or indictment in the case. So a little bit added incentive if you have any information that you think might be able to help out investigators as they try to figure out who's responsible for that killing there. Okay, I also want to let you know about this story that we keep following. This is regarding Canton Street. The question remains, as it has for several weeks now, should the city close a section of Canton Street to through traffic on weekends this summer in order to create a walkable promenade? Well, it's up for debate. Well, last night at a city council public works committee meeting, they were supposed to form a task force to look into this matter after the mayor got a lot of pushback from business owners who were upset because of all the parking spots that their customers would lose, and the fact that the city leaders wanted to do this before construction has even begun on a planned parking garage nearby. So there was a lot of discussion at last night's meeting about the task force, how it would all be structured, but in the end, committee members decided they just needed more time before they formed that task force. And among the business owners against shutting down that street is the owner of 1920 Tavern, and she says it would actually be really horrible for a business. Let's listen.
In a way, my biggest source of advertising. My biggest source of advertising is those 12,000 cars going past my restaurant every single day. And to just continue this when there's no thought process through any of it is just silly. My hope is that the city realizes that this promenade is an absolute disaster waiting to happen.
So city leaders are expected to make a final decision on that task force a week from today. Sometime after that, they're going to start appointing task force members. And bottom line, Canton Street's not going to be closing through traffic at any time soon. But again, this discussion is ongoing, so we'll see what happens. I also want to let you know about this is really nice for the kids that are basketball fans. Today, the Atlanta Hawks and Quick Trip are teaming up to surprise nearly 65 kids with pop-up basketball and fitness activities. This is so nice and fun. This is part of the 2023 Community Court Tour presented by Quick Trip beginning this week. So today's event is from 9 a.m., so it's already underway. It goes until noon at the Ron Anderson, Wild Horse Creek Park. There is going to be a lot of Hawks alumni there to help teach the kids about fitness. A really nice thing. It looks like it's going to be a really good time as well. And good to stay indoors today, I think, looking at the weather. I'm not the meteorologist, but you know who is, Courtney Jacobazi, and she knows all about what's going to happen. All I can tell you is it looks very gray out there.
Yeah, we just had storms roll over the station too. So today, definitely a good day to stay inside. Take it easy on the roads if you do have to head out and about, because it's going to be a rainy day today. So we do have a first alert because of all the rain and the thunderstorms that will be on the way today and are already happening in a handful of spots. So a great day to have the First Alert weather app handy and just simply stay weather aware, because as you're seeing on your screen right now, the southeast, including here in North Georgia, is under a pretty heightened severe threat. North Georgia definitely looks to hold the lower end of a severe threat. Where you're seeing that red color there, that's where the highest and most elevated severe threat is. And we're going to talk about that coming up here in just a couple of minutes. But in the meantime, I hope you're having a wonderful day, everyone. I am First Alert meteorologist Courtney Jacobazi. Thanks so much for tuning in and spending some time with us this morning. We are going to get right into your forecast because there's a lot to unpack this morning about the stormy day on the way. So let's get right into it, shall we? Here's a look at the severe outlook. This goes until technically Thursday morning. So when we show you a day one outlook for the day today, this technically could go into the next morning through 8 a.m. That's when this time frame lasts. And we could maybe see an isolated strong to severe storm through the overnight hours, but I do think the severe threat through the overnight really starts to diminish. I do think that the peak time for severe weather today will primarily be the afternoon and evening hours. The threats we're going to be looking at: damaging winds. We could have downburst activity today. We have a lot of moisture in our atmosphere, and sometimes that can create what we call downbursts, and that's straight line wind gusts. And those within themselves can be dangerous. It doesn't need to be a tornado to cause damage when it comes to wind. So straight line winds will be possible today. I do think a lot of these storms will carry hail through the afternoon, maybe some on the slightly larger side, and then flooding will be possible as well, especially south of I-20 and south of I-20. So we're talking from places from Carrollton, so Carroll County, all the way down to Troup County. You will carry the greater risk for severe weather today and also the better potential for flooding. We have a front, we've been talking about it for a few days, that's currently stalled down towards the Macon area, and that's serving as essentially a highway for all of these cells and clusters of showers and thunderstorms to ride along. So they're kind of going to train over the same areas, and that's going to create a more elevated flood risk. Now, you might notice on the threats little tile there that a tornado is possible. I think that threat is low, especially for us. Where you see that red color, that's a level 4 risk. The Storm Prediction Center reserves those for when they have very high confidence that something like a severe weather outbreak or extremely high wind gusts or maybe even a long track tornado is possible. They don't issue level 4 threats very often, but that again is not in our area. That is more of a concern down in central and south Georgia, but we will watch for rotation as we head into the afternoon, mainly south of I-20. You're going to hear me say that a lot as we go through the forecast, because that's really where we'll be focused for the most part through the day. Doesn't mean that North Georgia and in the metro area and north of Atlanta is immune to a strong to severe storm. We've already seen some storms go through places like here in Cobb County, in Marietta, so we will have that potential. But I think the greater risk for severe weather will be south of I-20 today, closer to that front. So wet out there right now. We do have some storms that just moved through parts of Fulton County. and those will continue to push east. Once this first batch of rain moves out, we should be dry, with the exception of places, again, south of I-20. Told you that's kind of going to be our focal point through the early afternoon until we start to see storms ramp back up around 3, 4 o'clock. For most of the metro, and we'll take you through that timing here in just a second. But again, with those storms training south of the area, places like Troop, Meriwether, Lamar, Pike, Upson counties, you are under a flood watch through tomorrow, and that just simply means that flooding is possible. So with, again, the training of storms, some of these storms carrying very heavy rainfall rates that could lead to some flooding in these areas, including maybe some flash flooding. So just be very careful if you're driving around in those areas. Let's take you through the high resolution forecast model. This model updates every hour. It did struggle with that line of storms that just moved through parts of Fulton County, including North Fulton County, currently pushing into Gwinnett County. But you get the gist. A lot of the heavy rain and storms will stay south of I-20 as we head into the afternoon. So here's lunchtime. Most of us are dry south of, again, I-20. So we're talking places like Butts County, parts of Clayton County, Fayette County, Troup County, Meriwether County. You still have the potential for some storms. Essentially, this is a really hard forecast because we have this front stalled to our south. We know that serves as a focal point and kind of a little extra lift for showers and thunderstorms. But these little disturbances, we call them short waves, they're so small scale, models really struggle to figure out exactly where they're going to set up. I kind of like to think of it of, have you ever had like a piece of jewelry where the clasp is so tiny and you have to find the really tiny little clasp to put that jewelry on? Well, I feel like, or to like close your necklace or bracelet, I feel like that's what short waves are to models. They're like, where are we connecting here? You know? So that was probably the worst analogy I've ever made in weather, but you get what I mean. Small scale is really hard for models to pick up on when it comes to their timing and placement. Just like when we try to put, you know, a small clasp onto a little small connector on a necklace. It's really hard to figure out. Not impossible, but hard. So with that said, the forecast is a little fluid. As we go through the day today, we will be watching how the models change. But what we're thinking right now is that the early afternoon, so about your lunchtime, should be primarily dry until we get a second wave of showers and storms. This models have been very consistent on. What we've been kind of watching more than anything today are trends. So more so time frames that we think are going to be the stormiest. And it definitely looks like models have been hinting at this throughout the entire morning, that we'll get a second swath of showers and thunderstorms as we head into the mid-afternoon through the early evening hours. Now, the placement and coverage of the rain, that's what models have really been struggling with for the afternoon. So here's 3 o'clock. This is when I think our next batch of showers and storms roll in. This is also when I think we're going to have all the fuel from the heat of the day. We are seeing some sunshine out there right now. This is in Centennial Olympic Park. That is going to really put oil to the fire. So when you start to see sunshine, that is going to fuel our atmosphere and make it like a tinderbox as all of these storms roll through. So sunshine, not a good sign when you have storms on the way. But that's why I think that as we head into the afternoon hours, we're going to start to see all these showers and storms fire up, and that's going to be our best opportunity for severe weather. Notice out towards Bartow County there, it looks like you're seeing some of that white color. That could indicate some hail, maybe even some larger hail in some of these cells. You see they're almost very circular within that line that extends back out into Alabama. Those can be indicators of supercell storms, little clusters that carry, again, damaging winds, maybe some large hail, maybe an isolated tornado, but I do think the tornado threat is south of I-20 today. As we head towards 4:30, so this is when a lot of you will be getting ready to head home from work, all through the metro, could be very wet. Now, this is a big change. Models throughout the morning have been going back and forth on this when it comes to the placement. Most of the morning, models have been hinting that a lot of the rain will be from Atlanta southward, not extending up north of Atlanta, but at least prepare for the possibility for a very wet commute. Essentially what we're going to have to do is watch this next line of storms as it comes in from Alabama later today and kind of track it from there. So we'll see, does the line of storms set up to our north? Does it set up more south and really just bring a rainy commute to people south of I-20? Something we'll be watching, but regardless, I think between around 3 and 7 o'clock is when we'll have our best chance for severe storms today, with again the primary threats being wind and hail, maybe an isolated tornado. Heavy rain is a given, frequent lightning is a given. As we head towards sunset hour, we should be mainly dry. We could have another round of storms through the overnight hours, but again, I do think with the lack of heating and all the rain from the day, we're going to kind of turn over our atmosphere, so we won't have a lot of fuel for severe weather, but we'll still be keeping an eye on it through the day. Here's a look at the rainfall totals from now through Thursday, with Thursday being primarily dry. A lot of this rain is going to fall within about 36 hours, so we're talking half an inch to an inch for most of North Georgia, but notice south where that flood watch is, you could pick up 2 to maybe even 3-4 inches of rain within just the next 36 hours. So that's why that flood watch is out there. We will be keeping a close eye on our neighbors to the south. So here's kind of a little roundup of everything. This morning, strong storms are possible. Not really thinking anything severe for the next hour or so, but the afternoon and evening, especially the heat of the day between around 3 and 6, severe storms will be possible, with hail being that primary threat. Could have some hail that's a little on the larger side, an inch plus in diameter. And then overnight, maybe an isolated severe storm, but again, I think we're going to kind of be turned over at that point, so maybe some stronger storms, but we'll still keep an eye on maybe an isolated severe storm through the overnight hours. But the afternoon and places south of I-20 being the main focus today. I'm not saying that you won't see an isolated severe storm if you're north of I-20, but south of I-20, especially down towards the central Georgia area, will be the hot spot today for severe storms. So that first alert in place today, giving you a heads up. You need to be weather aware today. Have a way to receive weather warnings just in case. You don't want to be driving out and about when severe weather is rolling through your area, so you'll want to know where and when those storms are happening. Tomorrow, scattered storms will be possible mainly in the morning, with maybe a few lingering showers and thunderstorms for the afternoon. Temperatures today and tomorrow with the rain and cloud cover only in the upper 70s, so definitely cool for this time of year. We should be in the mid to upper 80s. We will rebound back into the upper 80s Friday. Friday looks to be the best day along with Saturday. Saturday's going to be hot, a little on the muggy side. And then as we head into Sunday, I will say we have a first alert right now, but we're continuing to watch it. This is another tricky pattern where we could have some impulses of showers and thunderstorms come off of an approaching front on Sunday, and those are really hard to pinpoint until you get close to the day. So Sunday right now is trending drier. We had it at a 50% coverage yesterday, now 40, and that could trend drier if models continue to go on the path they are. So Father's Day looks great right now, or could end up looking great. But right now we'll keep a first alert because this could impact some of your afternoon and evening dinner and lunch plans with dad, or whatever you're doing over the weekend. Juneteenth festivities all over the weekend. Monday we do keep that first alert because that has consistently looked stormy for us. Tuesday we will stay unsettled. Unsettled is going to be a theme, guys, over these next several days. It does look like even heading into next week we kind of continue on this rainy pattern. June and July are some of our rainier months. We need the rain as we head into the warmer months of the year. You simply have longer days, you have more evaporation, so you need that water in the ground to prevent drought. So while we don't like that to come with severe weather, rain is a good thing, per what the song says. So anyway, that first alert today, storms are present, currently pushing east of 75. We'll get a little lull through about lunchtime, and then it looks like activity ramps back up for the early afternoon through about the 7 o'clock hour tonight. So you'll definitely want to be hyper aware of the forecast. Thanks so much for spending some time with us. Our whole team of meteorologists will be here throughout the day to give you updates both on air, online, and on the First Alert weather app, so be sure to have that handy and ready to go today. Hope you make it a wonderful day despite the rain, and we'll catch you here next time.